Here we go with the magic escape rings. Now what I have here, I have two solid ordinary rings. As well as that, I have a stick and I have my two pieces of rope here as well. Now for this trick here, I'm going to use my volunteer here. Can you just hold this stick for me, just like this? Sensational. And I'm just going to drape over the two bits of rope. Now to make sure these bits of rope stay on my little stick here, I'm also going to tie them on so that there's no way that they'll come off. Alright, that's tied on very solid now. Now I'll get you to hold these two bits of rope here. Okay, so there's my one there. Now on each side of this, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to put one ring on this side, there we are, and one ring on the other side over here. Okay, so that's linked on there. I've got my stick, I've got my two rings as well. Now, as well as that, just to keep it all together, I'm going to take one string from this side and one string from this side and also tie it all together so that there's absolutely no way that these rings can come off. Okay, you hold that and you don't let go, okay? So that's totally gone. So now I've tied on my stick and my two rings. Now watch very carefully. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull out this stick here. So now I've only got the two rings left on the rope. Here we go. Watch very carefully. A little bit of magic. I click my fingers and watch. Straight through the middle of the rope, the two rings travel. And here's my bits of solid rope as well. And that's called the magic escape rings. Here's the explanation for the magic escape rings. Now this whole trick is to do with a complicated knot system that actually ends up as a false knot, and in fact the rings are never tied on. At the beginning they are, but once you put a few more knots in, it actually unloops the rope again. So let me just go through the whole trick from the beginning just to show you exactly how it works. The first thing you've got here, I called this a stick in the performance. In fact, this is an actual magic wand. You can use this one from your kit, you can use a pen or something like that. But the most important thing is this is normal. If I call it a magic wand, people are probably going to think something's trick about it. Here we go. So you've got my magic wand here. Now you're going to get your assistant just to hold the wand like this, and you're going to drape the two bits of string over the top. Now here's the first important knot. What I'm going to do here, I'm not going to tie each individual rope onto the actual stick here. I'm going to grab the two ropes, make them separate and tie them together rather than separate. Now to hide this little knot at the beginning, you can just have them draping very close together, just like this. This confuses people as to what they're seeing, and they might not think that you're tying them together. You might think you're tying them separately onto the stick. So that's the first little bit here. So now we've got the two bits of rope tied onto the stick here. Now grab the volunteer and make them hold the bits of rope just like that. Perfect. Now you're just going to put one ring on each end. There's one ring there that's attached there, and I'll just put another ring over here as well. So that's just like that. Okay, the next bit is just as easy as well. You grab one bit of rope from each side, you lift it up and you tie it just in a half hitch knot there over the whole top, and get the volunteer to hold the rope just like that. Now at the moment here we've got two knots here. It confuses people because it looks like the whole thing is actually bound together, but in fact after I pull the stick out, if you have a close look at that knot there, it's actually a false knot. It actually wants to come apart, and if my volunteer will just pull the little bits of rope just a little bit, what happens is they go right through. It appears to travel right through the ring, but in fact it just unlinks the ring. Now for the performance, you can put your hand over that knot there just to cover the fact, because if people see those bits of rope coming apart, they'll see it's actually a false knot and not a real knot at all. So there you go. It's a lovely little trick. There's a couple of little moves to learn in it, but you'll probably get it in around about 10 minutes of practice, and it's a great little trick to show your friends. It fools them every time, and that's called the magic escape rings.